Greetings, everyone. My name is Farhad Karamali, and I am from Funworks. I'll be hosting today's Bizverds. I have a very special friend with me, Ms. Surani Amerasinghe. She's been very kind enough to take her time out and join us for a very, very exciting subject, something that I've been thinking of for quite a while, but I also need to speak to people who would actually understand. A little background of Ms. Surani Amerasinghe. She's currently head of human resources at the Lion Brewery Ceylon. Um, while she is into HR and her experience is filled with HR, she likes to call herself a hotelier, which I think adds to the entire um, scheme of things when you're looking at a department which is there to serve. Because she had obtained her hotel school diploma from Hotel Consult Caesar Ritz in Switzerland and MBA from the American City College. Before joining Lions, Surani was group head of HR at Haley's PLC. We did some great work with her over there. There was some very exciting stuff at that time. And prior to that, I was fortunate enough to work with Surani when she was heading HR in CTC, that's British American Tobacco. In fact, she was also part of the American Tobacco in London, overlooking HR and talent for the legal and corporate regulatory affairs functions globally. She's had a rich experience. She's been all over the place. She's been to Pakistan as well a couple of times. So all in all, it is just wonderful having Miss Surani Amerasinghe with us. So you could give her a loud round of applause. Of course, we can't hear her, but she can't hear us. But yeah, so thank you very much for joining us, Surani. It was wonderful having you over here with us.
Thank you for having me here, Fahad.
Great. What I will do is, Bizverds is basically a session where we have a few question and answers, Surani, just for your background and even for our listeners. We'll speak a little bit. I'll ask you a few questions related to the
Okay.
subject. We then open up the floor for questions that people would have. What I will do is, for those of you who've been part of the Bizverds community for a long time, I will today have very few questions, so we'll have more opportunity for people to ask the questions. And the idea is not a right or a wrong answer. These are just perspectives that different people have and different backgrounds. And I think, considering that people in Sri Lanka will get a feel of what's the kind of stuff that is being considered in Pakistan for the time being, and Pakistan will get to hear what Sri Lanka is doing, and everybody else from different parts of the world would also find out exactly what is happening. So, the topic of the day is, as we all know, HR in the new normal. Now, so a little background to this. When we're speaking of the new normal, this is something that a couple of people have spoken to me about. I
Yes.
have not done any session yet on COVID-19, coronavirus, the big change,
Yes.
the new normal. The reason being, I personally feel I have difficulty labeling these scenarios even as difficult. I'm
Yeah.
calling it different. I'm
Yes.
not calling it difficult.
Yes.
And in this, the new normal, and everybody's like, new normal. And I'm like, what new normal? And that is why when you said, you're interested in new normal, I did not say anything to you. I said, okay, let me figure out this new normal. Because why the why of business is still the same, the how has changed. So that is
Okay.
evident. But
Yeah.
that is what it is. So over to you. What is HR in
Yes.
the new normal?
Okay. First and foremost, I totally agree with you, Farhad. The only difference is currently the so-called new normal is unpredictability. I think us in South Asia has actually gone through that anyway. I mean, we've had to face so many economical, political crises throughout. So for us, it's not really something new. But the reality of it is that now it is a global situation, and therefore we are dealing with unpredictability in all aspects. So we're talking about the social aspects of it, the economic aspects of it, and our overall well-being. So it's, for me, new normal now is dealing with unpredictability.
Right. I think very rightly said, unpredictability, and it's so amazing because you're right. In this part of the world, we are so used to of unpredictability on a daily basis. Sometimes the normal common sense is also ununderstandable. You don't discover what happened. There'll be a crisis situation, stock market going up, and you're actually thinking what actually happened over here. Because if you're going by the book, things need to perform in a particular way. So I think we are definitely at an advantage. The ad
Yes.
hocism, the last minute thinking, the quick fixes to problems. If anything, I think this has strengthened our immune system, figuratively speaking, to these kind of challenges. Okay, what would be very interesting, having said this, if you notice, people now, for example, I notice a lot of people from Pakistan when I'm working with my clients over here, speaking to them. I think it has evolved over the past 5 6 weeks. The first week was out and out a shocker. People really didn't understand what hit them in most
Yeah.
organizations. Then it was like, okay, we need to come to terms with it. We need to work on certain things. Then there was a lot of the stress management and well-being and ill, or not ill-being, well-being and wellness and stress relief and
Yes.
everything. Okay,
Yes.
and now gradually people are coming to terms with it and they want to move forward. They're thinking, how has it been generally? Do you think when it comes to people, uh,
Okay.
organization?
So I think it's exactly what you again said. Overnight, I mean, we went to sleep day one. We got up in the morning, and all of a sudden, we've been told we are under lockdown. And here you get a million and one calls from your teams to find out, okay, do I come to work? Do I not come to work? And like you said, we went through this. Okay, our wellness, health, safety, wellness came priority. Ensuring that we gave the right tools for our employees to work from home came next, and then of course the engagement that we felt they needed some sort of contact, some sort of conversation and ability to be in touch with the organization. So the engagement played a large role also. But nearly 2 months down the line, we as an organization or anybody, I mean, in fact, what I'm sharing with you is not just coming from my own organization, but also feedback I've received, inputs I've received from my colleagues and peers across the globe. Now it has come to a situation where we as companies are looking at survival. How do we get through this difficult 6, 9, 12, 18 months to ensure not only the sustainability of the organization, but sustainability of the employees or even the economy as a whole? So that's where we are now. So now we are actually in this phase of looking at how best to continue, how best to survive. And then we are also at the same time looking at how best to thrive thereafter.
Right. I think you said something very interesting. I think engagement is very, 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 very important as we speak. And we're actually speaking of, I think for a change, we're speaking of genuine engagement as opposed to taking people out and doing one of those team building and this guy that doing
Yes,
paintball and stuff.
yes,
We're speaking of
yes,
very real engagement for a change.
yes.
What ideas, what suggestions? Maybe these are things that Lion is doing, maybe things that you've seen happening otherwise in Sri Lanka, or even
Yeah,
otherwise from
yeah.
your global network. How do we engage you? What's your suggestion? How do we engage people in these
Okay,
times?
I think the biggest concern a lot of our teams have, again, not just in Sri Lanka but globally, is that they're scared. They're actually scared about their job security. They're actually scared of what's next. So first and foremost, basic communication. And I know this is so cliche. Everybody talks of communication, but I think this is where their line managers need to pick up a phone and just simply say, "Hi, how are you? Are you doing okay?" So that basic communication has to happen. In addition to that, I think it's very, very important for an organization to be very, very clear, not over promising, not scaring anybody, but at the same time be realistic, because I think it's important for your teams to know that yes, a company is going through a difficult period. Yes, at the moment our priority is the employees, but we also need to look at the sustainability of the organization. So that clear communication is vital to ensure that you get them through this period. Thereafter, I think it's the fun stuff, the caring stuff, and so on. And what I found previously, HR used to be driving behind it. We are the ones who are doing all sorts of little gimmicky things or really interesting things about engagement. How do we engage? What does that really mean? And majority of the time, the line manager would simply park it with HR.
Mm.
What I've seen the last couple of months is that the line managers have no option but to engage. We, for example, have created a communication platform so that we have two communication platforms in addition to the emails. We also have WhatsApp groups, one an official group where the CEO and I communicate all important messages, but then we also have a WhatsApp group that we use to get people's ideas, to create little competitions and so on. And majority of those ideas, engagement ideas, actually come from our line management. It's not coming from HR. We facilitate it, but it's coming from the line, which
Wow.
is incredible. So I've seen a drastic increase in the overall engagement from line.
Wow, I think that is just so amazing. And this is like a dream come true for most HR people, that line managers for a change are taking responsibility. And those of my friends who are listening to us, key message: while communication everybody speaks of, the important thing
Yes.
is it needs to come from the line,
Yes.
because this is no time for people actually to pass on the buck to HR. It's very interesting you said this, because I've actually written, and because I'm not a screen person with a green dot and speaking to a little camera. So, and the middle of the conversation, I'll start writing things down. One of the top crises I've written is, I'm looking at the kind of changes, the travel restrictions that would happen. I'm just trying to understand the kind of things that may
Yes.
happen. And uh, the third thing over there after resilience is actually leadership crisis, and that is
Yeah.
what I meant by leadership crisis. I think the line managers will really have to step up. So, and for engagement, you're spot on. It's the line man, because they understand their people, they
Yes.
understand what would get them going, and I think it's very exciting that the competitions, and maybe I'll take it offline with the kind of ideas you have for the what you're doing offline competitions. But
Yes.
I think it's a wonderful idea to have line managers. As a matter of fact, just to build onto it, and this is something that would probably resonate with a lot of people who are listening to us. I was working with this client, and somebody said that we need to understand how to work from home. The new
Yes.
cliche, work from home. And what I realized is it wasn't so much of an issue of working from home. The actual challenge were the line managers, because the line managers don't know how to work from home. So they would pick
Yes.
up the phone at no matter what time, start giving instructions from
Yes.
morning to evening, making sure that people are working and they are contributing. They ended up doing what some people would say Zoom whiplashing.
Yes. Exactly.
You need to be on the Zoom. I need to see you. And I said, what is it? They said, this is engagement. I said, this is anything but engagement. It's like you're putting oil on fire.
Actually, I've got exactly the same feedback from a lot of my ex-colleagues from South Asia and Asia as a whole, where a lot of us managers are not used to not seeing their subordinate team member working in front of them. So they actually want to see them working that 8 hours. And now all of a sudden they have to trust their employee, and I'm stressing the word trust. They have to trust their employee to be able to deliver without being seen. They have to trust their employee to be there for the organization. And it's a huge culture change, especially for us in Asia. And I'm not just saying about South Asia, no, I'm talking about other parts, even Southeast Asia, where they just refuse to lose that control, and all of a sudden that hierarchy is no more. And I think that
Uh,
is also something I see across Asia specifically.
yes, I think it's a very important thing that there is a sense of losing control. And interestingly, more higher up you are in the organization, not the leadership team or the management team, and I'm making a general comment, there is definitely the sense of loss of control, because I need to prove to others that, listen, you know what, I'm delivering, I'm delivering, I'm delivering. But then the question comes, delivering on what? And it's a completely new dynamic. And the best part is, in organizations that will make through in the new normal are actually people which will be doing things that HR has been saying for such a long time. Trust your people, empower your people, develop your people, take responsibility for your people. HR is a support function. You are the HR head for your own department. So, I think by default, all of that comes into place. But then, in order to do that, how can HR facilitate this? Let's say in organizations where it doesn't happen. Now, these are great companies. Probably your company or the clients that we work with. There's yourself. There are others. We know you're
Yeah.
great companies. You do progressive things. I was speaking to one client and I said, "So what are you doing?" He said, "Business as usual." He said, "We are not scaring people," and that's what you said. But there are a lot of these people, they freaked out. How can HR help them in the new normal, adjusting to
Yeah,
the new normal?
yeah, actually, a lot of the time it's again trying to identify who will face this cultural shock, because for a lot of these people, it is a cultural shock. And a lot of my colleagues who I work with in the financial sector and all that, and we call each other and say, oh my gosh, X is really having a tough time because of the fact that that particular line manager would be behind somebody. The only advice as HR people we could give is that at the end of the day, this is also an era. This is a time that we cannot monitor doing, and instead we have to start looking at the results that's achieved. So it's not how they've gone on that journey, but have they reached that journey to the level, the quality, the substance that is required at that end? I think that's the only message that we can keep giving the relevant line managers. I also found that though initially there were a lot of pushback, there were a lot of, okay, I can't really trust my guys to be delivering kind of mindset. 2 months down the line, they've had no choice but to accept it because they've seen what the guys in the factory are delivering or the guys distributing kilometers or miles and miles away are doing without them being around. So now it's also a process of building trust. But I think people will come to accept that as the new. If not, they are going to find it difficult to be working going forward.
Right. It's like the choice of no choice. So this is and
Exactly.
very right. In fact, as you were speaking, I just realized this is actually they've gone through the change curve, but it's
Yes.
forced through it, and they've gone through it very fast. So they can't go be in a state of denial for long. It
Yes.
is the hard
Exactly.
reality. Okay, I'm going to
Yeah.
ask you a very rapid fire question. Then we can. I see few questions. I see two questions right now, but I'm going to ask you a very
Okay.
hardcore HR question. And those of you, and I see some names over here. I'm not going to take them right now, but I noticed there's some people from HR also over here. One
Yes.
challenge. Um, Sri Lanka, for example, their fiscal year ends in March. So it is a
Yeah.
good closure. So they've already probably gone through their performance evaluation, appraisals, and already everything is done probably. And now you're looking to start the year. Many
Yes.
organizations, and for example, Middle East closing is
Yes.
December 31st. Pakistan, another the fiscal year ends June 30th.
Yes.
For about good 9 months at least, the performance
Yes.
management system was in place and people's
Yes.
performance was being evaluated with clear KPIs.
Yes.
Suddenly, excuse my Greek, but shit hits the roof.
Yes.
You don't know what they're doing. The numbers are
Yes.
like beyond my control. It's a pandemic, so you can't really blame anyone in the process.
Yes. Yes.
What would your recommendation be? What would your suggestion? What would your ideas be in this scenario where for a good
Okay.
9 months your performance management system was stable to take care of the performance, and now
Yes.
looking at appraisals coming up in June and
Yes.
performance dialogues happening in a few companies as we speak. Some names I see over there, they're having the performance dialogues these days. What do they do?
Okay. First and foremost, for me, the performance appraisal process. Okay, of course, it says appraising performances, but for me, it's also an opportunity to really understand the people that we have. For me, it's also an opportunity to understand do we have that right skill set, the competencies available for the organization, not just the year that ended, but for the next year and even going forward. So for me, that performance cycle, though that actual KPI and rating is vital because majority of us have that link to our reward system, is actually a minute part. So the
Mm,
reality of it all is majority of your teams have already completed 6 9 months of that KPI process. And I think that should be able to give any line manager an idea of how somebody has performed. Because
right.
usually I see the same curves every year where the last quarter you find miracles happening. And
Yes.
again, I find it across every sector I worked in as well as in every market I've supported.
True.
So it's always important for you to look at the consistency of performance. So if you really look at it, so 6 months, 9 months, if you really need to look at going after that performance KPI purpose, then you can use that. But for me, the last 3 months or this performance cycle is really, really important to start evaluating our people because the way we work have changed and it has to
True.
change. The positivity of what has happened is that we have actually brought forward the so-called work environment that our bosses have been projecting for 5 years down the line. We seem to have brought it forward. All of a sudden, you see more and more companies talking about automation, doing things completely different to the way they were doing because that is the need of the hour. So previously, the HR guys or the line managers had a good 3 4 5 years to get your teams ready for that change. Now all of a sudden we won't have that. And therefore, for me, what's vital, yes, by all means, evaluate their performances for that 6 or 9 months that you have. But the rest of the time, let's start evaluating the competencies. Let's start understanding what sort of competencies are required for that new work that these guys with these people will have to start performing. What are those gaps? What can we do to get them ready to be able to do
Mm,
that new work? So I would personally turn this cycle, at least this last cycle, more or less, into that evaluation process or identification process of competency. Again, I'm not saying this is the time you would, mark somebody down and say, okay, this is a great time to exit. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, yes, by all means, if you have to performance manage people, do so based on the facts that you already have. But make full use of this opportunity that you have to start mapping the competencies required for the new work that your workforce will have to deliver versus what they already have.
right. I think it's a good indicator. And you're very right, but at least they have 9 months of data at least available in their hands. And you're right, most of the time it's like this. And last quarter, generally, especially in the FMCGs, last 2 weeks, dump everything out so that you cross your target, get your bonuses, and then figure out what you will do later on as well. But yes, interestingly, so what you're saying is that at least you have this idea, and this time right now, managers need to be involved in mapping competencies for their people understanding, which also means there is a great level of partnership required between different functions and HR, because now
Yes,
HR cannot be looked up to for providing that competency frameworks and
yes,
the systems. The line
yes.
managers have to get involved.
Yeah. I think first and foremost, as companies, we have to start looking how are we going to deal with this uncertainty?
Yeah.
How is it that, and it is going to be there, whether we like it or not, this uncertainty will continue for the next, based on what I hear in the news, it will be there even for the next 2 years. So,
Yes.
how can we make our organization agile? That is the decision as management they'll have to make, and then based on that start mapping out what work needs to be done and what work needs to be performed, and then thereafter we will have to start identifying, so what does that workforce look like. So the competencies that we will have to start mapping will depend on the overall organizations that, as the management as a whole, have decided what it's going to be. So do we bring forward, and most of the companies I'm aware of have actually brought forward some of their some of the investment they were planning for 3, 4, 5 years down the line. They have bringing it forward because they realize that technology, the spend on technology is vital, and
Mm.
therefore that agility is vital, and therefore we need to provide our employees a way of performing their work. So at the end of the day, the customer does not lose out either. At the end of the day, the
Mm.
bottom line is vital. So yes, so that's what I would see.
Interesting. What I will do is because I see questions coming up, and what I'll do, I'll start putting up those questions. Abid, I see your question. There are two questions before that. I'll just come to your question. I think it's a build up as well because your question is a complete paragraph, so it'll just get us into that zone of actually quick thinking and rapidly answering. So. This is one comment that has come from Shahina. Shahina is a very regular viewer of us. I think she's seen almost all of Bizword episodes, and a great learner, very inquisitive, sometimes tends to ask multifaceted, tough questions. This is a very simple one coming from her. I think she's just getting warmed up. Shahina says, how to prepare
Very
for the
nice
future of
doing.
HR and for these new roles as an HR professional. So, how to prepare for the future of HR now that things are changing, they're modifying, it's no longer the conventional HR. What would your,
Yeah.
how to prepare?
Okay, first and foremost, we ourselves, it's a learning curve. For us also, I think it's important that we reevaluate the way we do things. Majority of HR functions, I find, there's a huge administrative part of it, and very paper based. And this last 2 months, I've realized, hey, guess what? We don't need any of that. A lot of it can be done online. Similarly, a good chunk of the work done by the HR business partners is engagement, advice, being there for the leadership as well as our employees. That can be done over a phone, it can be done, just that they need to be contactable and accessible. So, first and foremost, I don't think our roles itself will change. In fact, it will simply mean how engaged we are and how much more value adding we can be. Now, the biggest gap I find in HR, including myself and my team, is that do we really understand the future roles that will come in the organization? Would we really know where the organization is going? And therefore, it's vital for us in HR to get involved. We shouldn't be only involved in the HR space. We have to know what's happening, whether it's the gig economy, whether it is the economy as a whole, the market conditions, and so on. And it's really vital for us to understand the broader picture of the country, the economy, like I said, even globally, to be able to support. The second is, I think we have to ask for help. I'm being very frank with you. I've been lucky. I've worked across geographies, but to this day, I will pick up a phone and I will ask a friend, a colleague, or even a consultant that I work with. I mean, including you, Fahad. Okay, what do I do now? And I don't think we should hesitate to do that, because the chances are there are enough and more professional HR people out there who would be able to help you out. So that is something
Perfect.
that I would recommend, and that's what I've been doing. I mean, because some of this I've not even heard of. So this is what I've been doing. I've been reaching out.
Perfect. I think very beautifully explained. And I think this is again an opportunity even for HR, because throughout now we've always been HR fraternity globally has been complaining that HR is not given that space and responsibility and not taken seriously. And my counter argument has been HR has never really stood up for itself, other than being a babysitting department, making sure everything is okay, smooth. They've never really understood the business. Unlike for those of us who are listening, the reason I'm a diehard fan of Surani as an HR professional. She is HR. She's director HR. She goes around in the markets, understanding what's happening in the market with salespeople, understanding, going out, doing market study. I mean, this is not the typical HR that we would hear of. And interestingly, most people don't. So, Shahina, what people really need to do, the opportunity now for HR is actually to step up, stop being a babysitter, involve the line into discussions as well. It help them understand that these are two adults who are in a conversation. I'm not a babysitter just to look after the mess that is created by most other functions. Next question, and then I'll go to the heavy one. Abid, I'll go to your question soon after this. Can you comment on HR's leap towards digitalization in the new normal?
Okay, so I've been lucky. I worked for multinationals long before, and I got exposed to one of the top or some of the top digital platforms when I worked for the financial sector. In that particular role, I looked after HR for 9 markets across Asia, based out of Singapore. And as a financial sector company, we were very stingy with headcount. So I just had one other person and myself. And my job meant I had to travel quite extensively. But the rest of the HR related work, everything was online. So
Yes.
since then, in fact, I ended up joining British American Tobacco. One of the first questions I got asked about was digitalization and have I worked in that environment. And I think that's how I earned my job at BAT. So it's vital. And having worked in that environment, even though now I work for a local company, the first thing I push for is an HR, a digitalized HR, because at the end of the day, it's not about having more and more HR staff. It's about having the right HR people who can, like I said, we are business partners. Whether you're the head or director of HR, we're business partners. Our role is to be advising the management and the CEO, and therefore having a good digitalization process or having digitalized HR is vital. And if you haven't done so, I think this is a great opportunity to canvas for it, because I mean, we do a lot of things here. Now that we all work from home, I can monitor performance, I can monitor, people can use their mobile phones for performance appraisals, for training and development purposes, or even applying for leave and so on. So that helps us. This is a great opportunity to start pushing for it.
Yes, this is definitely a great opportunity, and in fact, I hope, Asma, that is sufficient because the other question builds into this as well. It's a lengthier one, and I'll take a stab at it a little before because I had an advantage of reading it a little ahead of time. So, Sarani, this is the question. It says, and he's got two questions. The other one is also very interesting. And Noman, I'll come to your question soon after this. My first question is that what if the HR leadership is not ready to cope up with new change?
Yeah.
They are limited to Zoom, not even MS Teams. There are around 8 to 10 applications of project management which could be used, but how to go out of the way to make them realize when they simply say this is just how we operate. While Surani, you can dwell on the answer and cook something up. Uh, I think Abid is again a wonderful person, a good friend, full of life. By the way, I think all my friends are generally full of life. Otherwise, they're zombies. Okay, so he's saying something very interesting. Abid, I think you hit the nail on the head. It says the HR leadership, and then I go straight to them. They say this is just how we operate. Sadly enough, what they're saying is this is just how we operate in a world which is not the same anymore. This is the way we started off with. The why has not changed. The how has changed. It's a matter of time when do you realize that the how has changed. Maybe they just don't realize. I mean, I can't imagine any organization, and it's not only your organization, or maybe not. It's just an example that you're quoting, is that they're not willing to move. On a lighter note, if they don't want to use MS Teams and the other apps, explain to them how important security is. Obviously, I'm not going to say about the other brands or anything right now, but the importance of security. Move on. Let's have something more secure. Let's create something. There are definitely. You see, it is not so much about the applications and the technology. If the human technology is not fixed here, all other is just useless. Imagine giving a Ferrari to a three-wheeler driver, and then you say I can't win the race. Obviously, and vice versa as well. Give Michael Schumacher a three-wheeler, he probably wouldn't know how to do it, and that's where the first part of competency mapping and things come in. But the important thing, it's not only perhaps HR leadership; it's leadership that really needs to understand first and foremost. Certainly, your suggestion now that you've seen the question.
Okay. Um, okay. I mean, I think. Okay, I mean, everywhere I work, I've had tough competition. I mean, even in my current role, I have tough competition. And the only reason that I try my best to keep up is that there's dime a dozen really good HR people across who can easily replace me for half my cost today. So I think it's really vital for HR people to be relevant. And if not, you have to have a system in place. And I'm not talking about processes and systems, but I think it is good and I've worked with a lot of top-notch HR professionals in Pakistan. And I think the more competition there is in the market, you will find that HR leadership will have no other option but to keep pace. Very similar to the finance and the engineering and all the other tech guys. So it's all about that competition. And I mean, okay, again, I'm going to say something totally controversial. I think as an organization, sometimes an organization will make that call as to, is this the right person to help us through? And I think HR is a vital role. And if the HR person is unable to support, then as an organization, you need to start thinking, okay, what can I do to get this person up to speed? But at the end of the day, the future of your organization also depends on the strength of your HR or people managers. So that I truly believe in that.
Right. Abid, I'll come to your second question in a little while because we're a little tight on time. As I said, HR is critical. Surani has urgent meetings. She's been called in the new normal. So we have about
Last
10 more
day.
minutes. We have, so I'll come to
Yes.
that. Noman, I'll hold on to your question as well. Noman, I can get you connected directly with Surani. Noman works with us. He's based in Dubai. He's looking after FunWorks. He's
Okay.
leading FunWorks Middle East completely. So yeah, don't take it to heart. He'll say just because you know me, you never ask my question. Okay. Atya Ansari, an amazing person. Again, loves to write. You can follow her on LinkedIn. She writes some amazing stuff as well. She's been looking
Yeah.
after HR in a local company and very ambitious. She says, how are we going to manage the cost cutting in these challenging times, along with development in terms of digitalization? This is so from the heart, Atya. You've cared for the trainers and consultants.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, this is a painful one. Farhad is aware that I'm one of the lucky people that has a really good training budget. And I've got an incredible supportive boss as well as a board that has never touched my training budget. But during the last couple of weeks, we as an organization reevaluated our budgets, and I myself actually cut my training budget by two-thirds. In fact, my CEO asked me, why are you sure this is what you want to do? And I said, yes, I do. It's not that I really cut everything 100%, but I actually timed some of these interventions so that I could actually split the cost into 2 financial years rather than taking all that. So some of it is actually, I guess, financial re-engineering rather than completely cutting. But there are another reason for me to reevaluate my training budget was because at a time of uncertainty, I don't want us to first attempt to safeguard our teams as much as possible. Because when the time does change, there is always going to be that competition once again to get that best talent back to you. And if you do end up letting go of your people that easily, you are going to find it difficult when the time is right. Like I said, it might be 2 years down the line when you really have to go back into the market to recruit. So for me, and I'm so happy that my board and my CEO supports me on this, our priority was, okay, fine, let's first sustain our people. We owe it to actually our people to see how best we can sustain ourselves. And if that means, yes, re-engineering my finances and putting the numbers across to the next financial year, yes, that is something that I did. The second one is very, very important. We also reevaluated all the programs, the training budget, and then decided what is vital. And where I kept the money was mainly on that automation, digitalization aspects of it. We have a high-tech factory. And in fact, if you come into a factory, you'll hardly see blue-collar workers. You'll hardly even see workers because we're that digitalized, automated, and so on. And we also have an aging population in Sri Lanka, and that means as a company, we also have a group of people who are actually way past a certain age category. And therefore, the training budget where I kept, or where we have decided to invest most, is to try and get these people ready for further digitalization in the short term. But like I said, I've not completely cut some of those budgets. Instead, I've pushed back so that I can make use of 2 financial years to cover the cost of one program or a certain training and development intervention.
Right. I think the most important thing is at Light in particular. There's a lot of support of the entire SLT, the entire senior leadership team, and I think when you said there's really there's a lot of concern on people development, and everybody I notice is very serious. They're very concerned about, are my people developing? Are they growing? Are they doing things? And I think, and that's very common with most of your organizations that you've worked with, including British American Tobacco. There's a lot of emphasis on making sure that there's a development process taking place, which makes it actually a little easy, because then you're actually not looking at the cost side of it. It's actually an investment, and you're being smart with the investment. So it helps out, because when you're looking at an investment, you're not looking at it as an immediate outcome, but you're looking at it as a progressive development, and it's not a checklist item. I'll put up, Noman, your question. Noman says, hi, Surani. Why is it not? Oh, yeah. How do you see the employee experience being recrafted beyond COVID-19? And I'll tell you why he brought this one up. It's being spoken. Okay.
Okay. Actually, it's a good question, because one of my new HR colleagues joined during COVID, so he hasn't even walked in to his office as yet. He walked in. I think he was really scared that we might not hire him. I think that was the biggest worry for him. So actually, previously we were not prepared. Let me be straight with you.
Mm.
But during this lockdown period, we had two people walking in. One, a technical specialist, an engineer by profession, coming from an MNC, coming into a key role, and of course, one of my HR business partners. What we had to do was all of a sudden induct induct the individual, introduce, and get a lot of it up and running all virtually. I mean, these two didn't even have access to their laptops because, unfortunately, Sri Lanka lockdown is such that we just don't get curfew passes to be delivering certain things and so on. So, but that meant us getting permission internally to provide access to these individuals through other means. So we've had to be quite flexible with our processes and our policies.
Yes.
Previously, we may not have given access to individuals unless it was a company laptop or anything like that. But here we've had to be flexible because we do have this group of people working. They've not been able to be given with those tools and so on. But what we do more than anything, forget all the tools and so on, what we do instead is one of my HR team members spend quite a lot of time with this individual and introducing them to their core teams, their colleagues, and getting them up to speed. And I must say, the line managers have been brilliant, especially with the individual who walked into the engineering function. His manager, the chief engineer, took him under his wings, and he's also now getting involved in actually providing input into day-to-day operations because engineering is working. Though we are locked down, they're working. And he's able to contribute. So I think, again, it is, yes, it's going to be difficult, but again, it's that communication. Again, it's for people to feel we are not alone. It's to ensure that you can anticipate what are the issues that they will face. And a lot of the new people, the biggest issues that you have is, okay, I'm new. I don't know the processes. I don't know the policies. What do I do about this? Is this, I mean, there's also, is this the right thing for me to have done, leading X organization to this? So I think it's just being there, communicating, sometimes I guess being a bit of a pain also, troubling them to ensure that they're okay. But that's where I see in the short term as well as long term. I mean, more and more we will be onboarding them online. And actually, we use a lot. I mean, versions. I mean, even documentation, we send them through emails so that they are up to speed about our policies, processes, and our managers are contactable throughout, and they will take them through the onboarding process.
Great. And well, as I let you know why he's also okay. He's got two of his clients in the way, and it's interesting because who picks up the new normal? I managed to get your time before he could get. So he's also got something to do with the new normal and the COVID-19 and the HR. So that, by those of us who are listening, and even Surani, if you're interested, that will probably be on Wednesday. So we let you know.
Yes.
So that's I got to figure out why is he going into this. He's picking up things which is his own interview. Okay, I see one now. We're almost tied on. How much time can I have now, Surani? I need about 2 minutes to go. It is 4:15.
2 minutes can.
Okay, 2 minutes. Okay, that's what I'll do. Let me do. Okay, I see a lot of other questions as well. Abid, I see your question as well, very relevant. I think the key challenge over there was the HR leadership, which was very critical. We also see one more that I just want to very quickly, and it's like a rapid fire. You could give the answer to this, so then I'll summarize. Assuming you're a HR professional, works for a company which has taken drastic measures to manage their cash outflow through pay cuts.
Yeah.
How we can manage employee engagement, loyalty, and motivation? This is a
Okay.
very real and severe question.
Yes, this is quite a reality here back home as well. There's a lot of companies, especially in the government sector, that has had no choice but to take drastic pay cuts. I think, again, it's all about communication. I know it's such a cliche. I'm sorry I keep saying that. But today, if a lot of people are more worried about having a job. Okay.
Yes.
And I mean, including my sister-in-law has her pay cut by 50%. And when I actually had a chat with her and asked, how are you managing? Because her children are studying in private schools and so on. And she said, Surani, at least I have a job. And I think that a lot of people, believe it or not, I think find it a relief that, okay, I'm not let go of, because there are a lot of companies that's making their teams redundant.
Right.
So a lot of people are thankful that, okay, fine, I still at least have my job, even if it meant it is a pay cut. But I think as managers, as HR people, I think it should come actually from the overall management rather than just HR. I think it's important to communicate as to why you're doing it. How long would this be impacted? Would you be looking at recouping once things are okay, or coming back to normal once things are okay?
Yes, of
Um,
course.
and try and address some of the concerns that they have. And based on, again, the feedback I've received from my HR peers and colleagues across the globe, one of the biggest concerns happens to come from actually the senior management or middle managers who have actually a lifestyle that they
Mm.
still, not that they have, they require the money to live the high life. It's just that their basic costs are higher because of the education of their children and so on. And so the advice there is that how long is this pay cut going to take? Is there a possibility for the organization to tell us, okay, once we are
Yeah.
back on track, yes, we can reevaluate it. This is for this number of months. Of course, in this current context, you can't tell them.
Yeah.
The
I
other
think what
thing,
I will do is, because I had 2 minutes. Okay, you want to say the other thing? Yeah.
no,
The other thing?
and I think the other thing is the retirement aspects of it. That's the other area that I find a lot of people are worried. Yes, you're cutting my salary by X percentage, but my retirement is based on that. Am I going to
Oh,
get impacted? So again,
yes.
as companies, you will have to start looking at, okay, fine, I might end up cutting this individual salary, but can I still afford to contribute the superannuation or the retirement benefits as per the old scheme?
Yeah.
I think that's also options. Look at
Yeah.
benefits rather than
Yeah.
touching the basic. Is there ways of getting rid of some of those other benefits?
Right. Some benefits could be adjusted possibly, especially if they're not required by the government. And there's some things which are required by the government also. For example, even in Pakistan, we're supposed, even if it's a private company, you're supposed to contribute for whatever reason. But I
This is
think
the problem
very
that
right.
you have.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, the provident funds and retire benefits you have to do.
Yeah.
But like for example, now with so much of us working from home, you still need to give that hefty vehicle allowance or travel allowance. Is
Yes.
there an area that you can look at slashing but keeping somebody? So look at different ways of cutting costs within that employee space, employee cost
Mm.
space, rather than just going into
Yeah. True.
the basic salaries and the superannuations.
Yeah, and I think it's something that I was speaking to somebody. You got a rich profile. I was speaking to somebody who was one of your previous company, and they said something very interesting. And Rehan, this just may contribute. If I'm an employee, seeing that you're giving out charity and cutting my salaries and my quality of life, that really somehow would not settle. I'm not against charity or anything, but I'm just saying organizations that are letting go of people. I know of an organization where they've let go of, made people redundant, and then they're getting pictures made of the donations that they are making. That really, 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 really pinches people hard, because you're not taking care of your own people, and there you are for photographs. You're probably going at again. As I said, there
Yeah.
are different people, different organizations. The keyword again comes in over here. It's not cliche. I think it's just a reality, which is communication, which is, even if the organization has to take these drastic measures, it should not be seen as an HR project. It is something that the business decide. The line managers now, for a change, do have to take the responsibility, as opposed to saying tough luck, this is what the company decides. A manager
Yeah.
needs to step up.
Yes, and just last thing. I mean, I've dealt with some of the most radical unions across, and I find that even with the most radical unions, when you actually show them a company's P&L and say, "Hey, this is where we are. I need this support," and they may not openly support you in front of their members because that they can't do. But I've had instances where they've turned around and told me, "Okay, we can't openly support you, but we will not trip you over."
Brilliant.
So do not hesitate to show them the numbers, because you'll be surprised how much these guys are aware of, and you will understand. Because at the end of the day, the success or the sustainability of the company is vital for the overall staff.
I think all in all, HR in the new normal would possibly be, and as we come to the end, HR in the new normal, and you could just give me your thoughts on this, or any very briefly. I know we are over, so we've overshot on time. My thing is that HR in the new normal has just fast forward what HR and organizations were always looking for: high trust, high communication, um, understand that people are meant to perform, and work from home is actually performance from home. So you don't have to be whiplashing them with Zoom.
Yeah.
Improve communication between yourselves. The head of the business, the CEOs need to get involved in the budgets, understand it's about developing people. So all of this combined is just fast forwarded what HR per se was always looking forward to. Yes or no?
Exactly, spot on. Because that's exactly, I mean,
Correct.
myself, we were looking at certain things 2, 3 years down the line, and all of a sudden, oops, we have to be ready six
Okay.
months, 2 months
Yeah.
down the line. So, yes.
And something that I'd asked you, you had agreed to this, is would you be okay to come once again, maybe for half an hour again, maybe 1 week, 2 weeks down the line? Would you be able to spare some time? Because I see some questions, and what we can do is, for those of us who are listening, if you want, this time you could compile question, and as opposed to us starting off on a subject and then building it up, we could actually just go rapid fire on the answers. So if we, let's say if I have about 10 questions, then we could possibly invite Surani in again, and we could have those rapid fire of questions. We would know what the questions are, we would know what the answers are, and we are bang on target. So if you would like to do that, just let us know, leave a message over here, and we'll get back to you. Surani, thank you very much. Please give a lot of love and appreciation to your team. I was really looking forward to seeing them next week. Okay, that's what my schedule was. But I look forward to seeing all of them soon, taking it to the next level, and to a lot of fun. Take care, stay safe, and thank you everyone who's been following. Make sure you subscribe and click on the bell icon. We're doing some very exciting stuff. We've got some exciting bizwords, and we've also launched a series called Teen Talks. It's an inquisitive journey into the future. We'd love to have your daughter, Surani, in this as well. We want to find out
Okay.
why there's a lot of interviews going of adults. Nobody's actually listening to the teenagers. So we put this together, and it's just listening to
Okay.
them. What are they saying?
Yes.
What are they thinking? Giving them a voice. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Surani, for your
Thank
time. And
you.
I will just go offline.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think